Jake Morrison sat in the cold metal chair and tried not to look as nervous as he felt. The chair was too big for him, made for beings much larger than humans. His feet barely touched the floor. Around him, the massive council chamber of Nexus. Prime stretched up into shadows, filled with creatures that seemed to come from nightmares and dreams alike. Dot to his left sat Counselor Vextar, a 9-foot-tall reptilian being whose scales shifted from green to brown as he moved. The creature's yellow eyes were the size of dinner plates, and when he breathed, Jake could smell something like sulfur and old meat. Vextar represented the Kara system, a collection of worlds known for their warrior culture and their love of hunting dangerous prey. On Jake's right, Counselor Zareth made soft chiming sounds as she moved. Her body looked like it was carved from living crystal, and light passed through her in rainbow patterns. She was beautiful in an alien way, but Jake knew that her people, the Sylvan, could shatter stone with their voices and had conquered 3 star systems through sheer force. Behind them, Admiral Krista of the Arcturus fleet sat in a hover chair that compensated for her 4 arms and the fact that she was 12 feet tall. Her blue skin was covered in what looked like natural armor, and her people had never lost a war. Everdot Jake was the youngest human to ever sit on the Galactic Council. At 28, he had been chosen not because he was the smartest or the strongest, but because he was good at talking to people. Even alien people, apparently. His job was simple: represent Earth's interests and try not to start any wars. The council meeting had been going on for 3 hours. They had discussed trade routes, mining rights, and territorial disputes. Jake had mostly listened, learning how things worked in this strange new world of galactic politics. Earth was new to the galactic community, having only made contact 5 years ago. Most of the other species had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. The next item on our agenda, announced Counselor Hexara in her buzzing voice, is planetary defense protocols. Hexara was the representative of a hive mind species. She looked like a giant mantis, but her compound eyes held intelligence that Jake found both fascinating and disturbing. Each world must provide detailed information about their natural defenses. Hexara continued, "This includes dangerous wildlife, environmental hazards, and any biological weapons that might be encountered by visiting species." Jake felt his stomach tighten. He had been dreading this moment. Earth's file was embarrassingly thin compared to other worlds. Humans had no natural armor, no poison, no ability to survive in space. They were not particularly strong or fast. Most alien species looked at humans and wondered how they had ever survived long enough to develop space travel. "We shall begin with newer members of the council," Hexara announced, and Jake realized with horror that she was looking directly at him. Before Jake could respond, Counselor Vextar leaned forward in his chair. The movement was smooth and predatory, like a snake preparing to strike. "Yes, let us hear from the humans," he said, and his voice carried the hint of a challenge. "We have reviewed your planet's wildlife database. The information is ... interesting." Jake felt every eye in the chamber turn toward him. There were 37 different species represented in the council, and he could feel the weight of their attention, like a physical thing. Some of them were curious, others seemed amused, and a few appeared to be studying him like he was something. They might want to hunt. "What specifically did you find interesting?" Jake asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Vextar's massive head tilted to one side. "Your apex predator data appears to be incomplete, or perhaps corrupted. We are curious about Earth's most dangerous creature." Jake felt sweat form on his forehead. This was exactly the kind of question he had been hoping to avoid. Earth's most dangerous animals were impressive, but they were nothing compared to the creatures that lived on other worlds. He had seen the files on Karis Prime, where crystal wolves the size of trucks hunted in packs, and could shatter rock with their howls. He knew about the shadow cats of Arcturus, invisible predators that could phase through solid matter. Well, Jake began, that depends on how you define dangerous. The chamber fell silent. Even the constant humming of the station's life support systems seemed to quiet down. Jake realized that his answer had not been what they expected. Counselor. Zareth made a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Captain Morrison, surely this is a simple question. Every world has a creature that sits at the top of the food chain. What is yours? Jake looked around the chamber and saw expressions of polite curiosity mixed with barely concealed amusement. These beings came from worlds where the apex predators were massive, armored, and obviously dangerous. They expected him to describe something similar. The thing is, Jake said slowly, humans don't really think about apex predators the same way you might. We classify danger differently. Admiral Christos' forearms moved in. What Jake had learned was the equivalent of a shrug. Danger is danger, human. Size, strength, speed, natural weapons. These things are universal. Are they? Jake asked, and he felt a spark of an idea forming. Maybe Earth's animals weren't the biggest or the strongest, but they had something else. Something that might actually surprise these beings who seemed so confident in their understanding of what made a predator dangerous. Counselor Mordock, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Mordock was from a high-gravity world, and his people were built like living tanks. Captain Morrison, we do not wish to embarrass you. If your world lacks truly dangerous predators, this is not uncommon among developing species. Jake felt a flash of irritation. Developing species. As if humans were children playing with toys while the adults discussed real business. He thought about the files he had read, the research he had done in preparation for this moment. Maybe it was time to change their perspective. Actually, Jake said, I think you might be very interested in our apex predator. But it's not what you're expecting. The chamber grew quiet again, but this time the quality of the silence was different. Jake could sense that he had their attention in a way he hadn't before. Go on, Vextar said, and his yellow eyes were fixed on Jake with predatory focus. Jake took a deep breath. The creature I'm thinking of is about 6 feet long. It weighs maybe 4 pounds. To most of you, it would look completely harmless. Several aliens made sounds that Jake interpreted as laughter. A 4-pound creature as an apex predator? On worlds where the smallest dangerous animals weighed hundreds of pounds, this seemed ridiculous. But Jake wasn't finished. This creature can kill 100 adult humans with a single bite. The laughter stopped. A silence in the council chamber stretched on for what felt like hours, but was probably only seconds. Jake could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. He had their attention now, all of it, and he could feel the weight of 37 different species studying him with new interest. Councillor Vextar was the first to speak. His massive reptilian head moved closer to Jake, and those dinner plate-sized yellow eyes narrowed. 100 humans with a single bite, he repeated slowly. You are certain of this number? Jake nodded. Conservative estimate, actually. It might be more. What is this creature called? Admiral Krista asked. Her 4 arms were now folded across her chest, and Jake could see that she was taking him seriously for the first time since he had joined the council. The inland taipan, Jake said. Its scientific name is Oxyranus macrolepidotus, but most humans just call it the fierce snake. Counselor Zareth made her wind chime sound again, but this time it was sharper, more like broken glass. Fierce snake. This implies aggression, yes? A creature that attacks without provocation? Jake shook his head. Actually, no. The inland taipan is one of the most shy and reclusive creatures on Earth. It actively avoids contact with humans and other large animals. In the wild, it will flee rather than fight unless it's cornered with no escape route. This statement caused a ripple of confusion through the chamber. Counselor Mordock leaned forward in his chair, his tank-like frame making the metal creak. You speak of a creature that can kill 100 of your kind with a single bite, yet it runs from confrontation? This makes no sense. It makes perfect sense, Jake replied. When you're that dangerous, you don't need to prove it. The implications of this statement settled over the chamber like a heavy blanket. Jake could see the alien representatives exchanging glances with each other. They were beginning to understand that their assumptions about apex predators might be wrong. Tell us more about this creature, Counselor Hex Ara buzzed. What does it look like? How does it hunt? Jake pulled out his datapad and activated the holographic display. A three-dimensional image of an inland taipan appeared in the center of the chamber, slowly rotating so everyone could see it clearly. The snake was elegant and sleek, with scales that shifted from brown to olive to gold, depending on the angle of the light. As I said, it's about 6 feet long when fully grown, Jake explained. It weighs between 3 and 4 pounds. It has no legs, no arms, no claws. Its only weapon is its bite. Several of the alien representatives made sounds that Jake interpreted as dismissive laughter. Counselor Thekmer, a being that looked like a cross between a spider and a lobster, clicked his mandibles together. Captain Morrison, with respect. This creature appears to be nothing more than a large worm. My homeworld's larvae are more impressive. Jake smiled. That's exactly what most humans think when they first see one. It looks harmless, almost cute, some people say. Yet you claim it can kill 100 humans, Mextar said. How is this possible? Venom, Jake said simply. The inland taipan produces the most toxic venom of any land snake on Earth. One bite delivers enough poison to kill 100 adult humans within 30 to 45 minutes. The chamber fell silent again. Jake could see that some of the representatives were beginning to look uncomfortable. The concept of a creature that could kill through chemistry rather than physical force was apparently new to many of them. This venom, Admiral Krista said slowly. How does it work? Jake touched his datapad again, and the hologram changed to show a molecular structure. The venom is a complex cocktail of different toxins. Some attack the nervous system, shutting down the victim's ability to breathe or move. Others destroy blood cells, causing internal bleeding. Still others break down tissue at the cellular level. Counselor Zarath's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly. The victim dies from multiple causes simultaneously? Exactly, Jake confirmed. The venom doesn't just kill you. It kills you in 3 or 4 different ways at once. Even if you could somehow survive the nervous system damage, the blood loss would kill you. Even if you could survive the blood loss, the tissue damage would kill you. How long does the victim suffer? Counselor Mordak asked, and Jake could hear genuine concern in his voice. Not long, Jake said. The nervous system toxins work quickly. Most victims lose consciousness within minutes. It's actually considered a relatively humane way to die, as deaths go. This statement caused another ripple of unease through the chamber. A humane death from a creature that could kill 100 beings with a single bite. The concepts seemed contradictory. You said this creature avoids confrontation. Counselor Hexara buzzed. What does it normally hunt? Small mammals mostly. Jake replied, rats, mice, small birds. The typical prey is maybe 1% of a human's body weight. The taipan has enough venom to kill its actual prey about 10,000 times over. The number hung in the air like a challenge. 10,000 times more venom than needed to kill its actual prey. The implications were staggering. Why would evolution create such a thing? Counselor Thekmer asked. What purpose does such excessive lethality serve? Jake shrugged. Nobody knows for sure. Maybe it's insurance against larger predators. Maybe it's just an accident of evolution. The point is, it exists. And humans coexist with this creature. Vexstar asked. There are thousands of them, Jake said. They live in the remote desert areas of Australia, one of Earth's continents. Most humans will never see one in their entire lives, not because they're rare, but because they don't want to be seen. Have any humans ever been bitten by this creature? Admiral Krista asked. Jake nodded. A few, but here's the interesting part. Nobody has ever died from an inland taipan bite. This statement caused an explosion of confused chatter throughout the chamber. How could a creature capable of killing 100 humans have never actually killed a human? We developed antivenom, Jake explained once the noise died down. When someone is bitten, we treat them with a medicine that neutralizes the poison. The treatment has a 100% success rate if administered within a reasonable time frame. Your species has developed a cure for the most deadly venom on your planet? Counselor Zareth asked, and her voice carried a note of respect. That hadn't been there before. We've developed cures for most of the deadly venoms on our planet, Jake said. The inland taipan is just one of many. The chamber fell silent once more. Jake could see that the alien representatives were beginning to reassess their opinion of humanity. A species that could not only survive alongside creatures that could kill them with minimal effort, but had actually developed medical treatments. For their most deadly toxins was not the primitive race they had assumed. How many such creatures exist on your world? Counselor Hexara asked quietly. Jake smiled. Would you like the complete list? Dr. Lisa Carter had been sitting quietly in the observer section of the council chamber, but now she stood up and walked toward the center of the room. Jake felt a wave of relief wash over him. Lisa was the smartest person he had ever met, and she understood the science behind Earth's dangerous creatures better than anyone. Council members, Lisa said, her voice calm and professional. Captain Morrison has asked me to provide additional scientific context for our discussion. Lisa was in her early 30s, with short brown hair and glasses that made her look like exactly what she was, a brilliant scientist. She had 3 degrees in biology, specialized in toxicology, and had spent the last 5 years studying alien biochemistry in preparation for moments like this. Before we continue, Lisa said, I want to make sure everyone understands what we mean when we say the inland taipan can kill 100 humans with a single bite. She activated her own datapad, and the holographic display changed to show a detailed molecular structure. The image was complex, with different colored segments representing different types of toxins. The venom of the inland taipan contains several distinct components, Lisa explained. First, we have neurotoxins. These attack the nervous system. They bind to nerve receptors and prevent the transmission of signals from the brain to the muscles. This causes paralysis, starting with the small muscles around the eyes and mouth, then progressing to the respiratory muscles. Counselor Vexstar leaned forward. The victim cannot breathe? Correct, Lisa confirmed. The diaphragm, the muscle that controls breathing, becomes paralyzed. Without artificial respiration, the victim dies from suffocation. The hologram shifted to show a different molecular structure. Second, we have hematoxins. These destroy red blood cells and interfere with blood clotting. The victim begins to bleed internally, and their blood loses its ability to carry oxygen. Admiral Krista's forearms moved in. What Jake had learned was a sign of discomfort. They drown in their own blood? In a sense, yes, Lisa said. But the process is more complex than that. The hematoxins also damage blood vessels, causing widespread internal bleeding. The victim's blood pressure drops, and their organs begin to shut down from lack of oxygen. The hologram changed again, showing a third type of molecule. Third, we have cytotoxins. These destroy cells directly. They break down tissue at the cellular level, causing massive organ damage. The victim's kidneys, liver, and heart begin to fail simultaneously. Counselor Zareth made a sound like crystal breaking. All of these effects happen at the same time? Yes, Lisa confirmed. The venom is designed to kill through multiple pathways simultaneously. Even if you could somehow overcome one effect, the others would still kill you. You said one bite contains enough venom to kill 100 humans, Counselor Mordak said. How is this measured? Lisa touched her datapad again, and the display showed a series of numbers and calculations. We measure venom toxicity using something called the LD50, a lethal dose that kills 50% of test subjects. For the inland taipan, the LD50 is approximately 0.025 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. She paused to let this sink in. The average human weighs about 70 kilograms. So the lethal dose for a human would be about 1.75 milligrams of venom. A single bite from an inland taipan delivers approximately 110 milligrams of venom. The mathematics were simple but horrifying. 110 divided by 1.75 equals approximately 63 lethal doses per bite. But Lisa wasn't finished. However, she continued, the LD50 is designed to kill only 50% of subjects. To achieve close to 100% lethality, you need approximately 1.5 times the LD50. So a more accurate calculation would be 110 divided by 2.6, which equals approximately 42 lethal doses per bite. Counselor Hexara's compound eyes seemed to shift focus. But Captain Morrison said 100 humans. That's correct, Lisa said. The 42 lethal doses I just calculated are based on the most conservative estimates. In reality, the inland taipan's venom is even more potent than our laboratory tests suggest. Field studies indicate that the actual lethal dose is much lower than 2.6 milligrams. A more realistic estimate is that one bite contains enough venom to kill between 80 and 120 adult humans. The silence in the chamber was deafening. Jake could see that several of the alien representatives had gone very still, the way prey animals freeze when they sense a predator. This creature, Counselor Thekmer said slowly, how fast can it move? The inland taipan is one of the fastest striking. Snakes on Earth, Lisa replied. It can strike at speeds of up to 15 miles per hour. The strike itself takes less than 0.2 seconds from initiation to contact. How accurate is the strike? Admiral Krista asked. Extremely accurate, Lisa said. The taipan has heat-sensing organs that allow it to detect warm-blooded prey even in complete darkness. It can strike with pinpoint accuracy at targets up to 2/3 of its body length away. So a 6-foot taipan can accurately strike a target 4 feet away in less than 1/5 of a second, Counselor Vextar said, and deliver enough venom to kill 100 humans. That's correct, Lisa confirmed. The implications were staggering. A creature that could kill from a distance, faster than most beings could react, with enough lethality to wipe out a small army. You mentioned that no human has ever died from an inland taipan bite, Counselor Zareth said. How is this possible? Lisa smiled for the first time since she had begun her presentation, because humans are very good at problem solving. When we discovered how dangerous the inland taipan was, we immediately began working on a solution. The hologram changed to show a complex molecular structure that looked different from the venom components. This is polyvalent snake antivenom. It contains antibodies that neutralize the taipan's toxins. When injected into a bite victim, it binds to the venom molecules and prevents them from causing damage. How long did it take your species to develop this cure? Counselor Mordak asked. About 20 years of research, Lisa said. We studied the venom, identified its components, and figured out how to create antibodies that would neutralize each toxin. Then we tested the antivenom extensively to make sure it was safe and effective. And it works every time? Counselor Hexara asked. Every time, Lisa confirmed. As long as the antivenom is administered within 6 hours of the bite, the survival rate is 100%. Most patients recover completely within 24 to 48 hours. Your species turned the most deadly creature on your planet into a manageable medical emergency, Admiral Krista said, and there was clear respect in her voice. We did, Lisa agreed. And we didn't stop there. We've developed antivenoms for dozens of other venomous creatures on Earth. Spiders, scorpions, jellyfish, other snakes. We've created treatments for most of the dangerous toxins on our planet. How many humans work in this field? Counselor Vextar asked. Thousands, Lisa sighed. We have research facilities on every continent. We maintain stocks of antivenom in hospitals around the world. We train medical personnel in the treatment of envenomation. It's a major field of study. Your species has turned survival into a science, Counselor Zareth observed. We've had to, Lisa said simply. Earth is a dangerous place. We learned early that the key to survival wasn't being the biggest or the strongest. It was being the smartest. She touched her datapad 1 more time, and the hologram changed to show a world map with thousands of small dots scattered across it. These dots represent locations where venomous creatures can be found on Earth. As you can see, there are very few places on our planet where humans can live without the risk of encountering something that can kill them. The map was covered in dots. Every continent, every major landmass, most of the oceans. Dangerous creatures were everywhere. How do your people live with this constant threat? Counselor Mordock asked. Lisa shrugged. We adapt. We learn. We develop better treatments, better preventive measures, better ways to coexist with dangerous creatures. It's made us very good at solving problems quickly. And very good at surviving, Jake added. The alien representative sat in silence, absorbing this information. Finally, Counselor Hexara spoke. Dr. Carter, you mentioned that the inland taipan is just one of many dangerous creatures on your world. Are there others we should know about? Lisa looked at Jake, who nodded. Actually, she said, the inland taipan isn't even the most interesting example. Would you like to hear about the blue-ringed octopus? The mention of the blue-ringed octopus sent another wave of tension through the council chamber. Jake could see that the alien representatives were beginning to understand that Earth's dangerous creatures might be more numerous and varied than they had initially assumed. The blue-ringed octopus, Lisa continued, is about the size of a golf ball. It weighs maybe 1 ounce. You could hold it in the palm of your hand. She activated her datapad again, and the holographic display showed a small, seemingly innocent creature with beautiful blue rings across its body. It looked almost cute, like something a child might keep as a pet. This little creature, Lisa said, carries enough venom to kill 26 adult humans. Its bite is virtually painless. Most victims don't even realize they've been bitten until the symptoms start. Counselor Vextar's massive head tilted to one side. What are the symptoms? The venom contains tetrodotoxin, Lisa explained. It's one of the most potent neurotoxins known to science. The victim experiences muscle paralysis, beginning with the small muscles and progressing to the respiratory system. They remain conscious and aware throughout the entire process, but they cannot move or speak. The description sent a visible shudder through several of the alien representatives. Counselor Zareth's crystalline form seemed to dim. They are awake while they die? Yes, Lisa confirmed. The venom doesn't affect consciousness, only motor function. The victim can see and hear everything that's happening, but they cannot respond. Death occurs when the respiratory muscles become paralyzed. How long does this take? Admiral Krista asked. Usually between 1 and 2 hours, Lisa said. There's no antivenom for tetrodotoxin. Treatment consists of artificial respiration until the toxin clears from the system naturally. And humans encounter these creatures how often? Counselor Mordock asked. Blue-ringed octopi are found in tide pools and shallow water throughout the Indo-Pacific region, Lisa replied. Millions of humans live in areas where these creatures are common. Children often play in tide pools where blue-ringed octopi hide among the rocks. The implications were staggering. A creature smaller than most beings' hands, beautiful enough to attract children, carrying enough venom to kill dozens of adults, and common enough that millions of humans lived alongside them. Surely such creatures are heavily regulated, Counselor. Hexara buzzed. Restricted areas, warning systems, protective barriers? Jake shook his head. Mostly we just teach children not to pick up unknown sea creatures. It's part of basic safety education in coastal areas. The casual nature of this statement seemed to disturb the alien representatives even more than the lethality statistics had. A species that dealt with incredibly dangerous creatures through education, rather than avoidance or extermination. There's more, Lisa said. The cone snail is another small marine creature, about the size of a human thumb. It shoots poisoned darts at its prey. The venom is so complex that we've only identified about 10% of its components. The hologram changed to show a beautiful shell with intricate patterns. This creature's venom contains over 100 different toxins. Each one targets a different part of the nervous system. There's no antivenom, and there's no effective treatment. How many humans has it killed? Counselor Thekmer asked. Dozens, Lisa replied. But here's the interesting part. We've learned to use its venom as medicine. Several of the toxins are being developed as painkillers for humans with chronic pain conditions. This revelation caused another ripple of amazement through the chamber. A creature deadly enough to kill humans was being used to heal humans. Your species harvests venom from deadly creatures to create medicine? Counselor Zareth asked. We do, Lisa confirmed. The cone snail venom contains compounds that are 1,000 times more effective than morphine for certain types of pain. We've learned to extract and purify these compounds safely. What about land creatures? Admiral Krista asked. Are the dangerous species limited to marine environments? Lisa smiled. Not even close. Would you like to hear about the poison dart frog? She changed the hologram to show a tiny, brightly colored frog. This creature is about 2 inches long. It weighs less than half an ounce. Its skin secretes a toxin called batrachotoxin. How dangerous is this toxin? Counselor Mordock asked. Extremely dangerous, Lisa replied. The skin of a single frog contains enough poison to kill 10 adult humans. The toxin is so potent that indigenous humans used it to tip their arrows. For hunting, humans use these creatures as weapons? Counselor Vextar asked. In a sense, Lisa said. They would carefully harvest the toxin from the frog's skin and apply it to arrow points. A single scratch from a poisoned arrow could kill a large animal within minutes. And these frogs are common? Counselor Hexara asked. There are over 100 species of poison dart frogs in Central and South America, Lisa said. They're found in rainforests where millions of humans live and work. The pattern was becoming clear to the alien representatives. Earth wasn't just home to 1 or 2 unusually dangerous creatures. It was an entire world where deadly toxins and venoms were commonplace, or small, seemingly innocent creatures could kill with minimal effort. Tell me about your spiders, Admiral Krista said, and Jake could hear apprehension in her voice. Lisa's expression grew serious. The Sydney funnel web spider is probably our most aggressive venomous creature. Unlike the taipan, which avoids confrontation, the funnel web spider will actively attack anything it perceives as a threat. The hologram showed a large, dark spider with prominent fangs. The male funnel web spider is particularly dangerous. During mating season, it will leave its web and wander around looking for females. If it encounters a human, it will rear up on its hind legs and strike repeatedly. How toxic is the venom? Counselor Thekmar asked. Extremely toxic, but only to primates, Lisa replied. The venom contains compounds that specifically target primate nervous systems. It's almost harmless to other mammals, but it can kill a human in 15 minutes. Almost harmless to other mammals, but deadly to humans? Counselor Zareth asked. How is this possible? Evolution, Lisa said simply. The spider's venom evolved to kill certain types of prey. Humans just happen to be vulnerable to compounds that don't affect other animals. How many humans have died from these spiders? Counselor Mordak asked. Before we developed antivenom, about 1 or 2 per year, Lisa said. Since we created the antivenom in 1981, there have been no deaths. Your species solved another deadly problem, Counselor. Vexstar observed. We did, Lisa agreed. And we continue to solve new ones as we discover them. Last year, we identified 3 new species of venomous snakes. We're already working on antivenoms for each of them. Your planet seems to specialize in creatures that kill through chemistry rather than physical force. Counselor Hex Ara observed. That's exactly right, Lisa said. Evolution on Earth has produced an arms race between predators and prey. Physical strength and speed are important, but chemical weapons are often more effective. And humans have survived this arms race how? Admiral, Krista asked. By developing better chemistry, Jake said. We've learned to neutralize toxins, create better medicines, and even use deadly compounds as tools for healing. Lisa nodded. We've also learned to be very careful. We teach children about dangerous creatures from an early age. We develop safety protocols for people who work in high-risk environments. We maintain emergency response systems for envenomation cases. Your species has turned survival into a systematic process, Counselor Mordak said. We've had to, Lisa replied. Earth doesn't give us a choice. We adapt or we die. The chamber fell silent as the alien representatives processed this information. Finally, Counselor Vexstar spoke. Dr. Carter, you have described creatures that kill through neurotoxins, hemotoxins, and cytotoxins. Are there other types of chemical weapons on your world? Lisa's expression grew thoughtful. Well, there are the jellyfish. They use a completely different approach to killing. Tell us about the jellyfish, Counselor Hexara said, and Jake could hear resignation in her voice. Lisa activated her datapad one more time. The box jellyfish is found in the waters around Australia. It's nearly transparent, which makes it almost impossible to see in the water. Its tentacles can extend up to 10 feet in length. The hologram showed a ghostly cube-shaped creature with long, trailing tentacles. Each tentacle is covered with millions of microscopic harpoons called nematocysts. When the jellyfish touches something, these harpoons fire automatically, injecting venom directly into the victim. How toxic is this venom? Counselor Zareth asked. Extremely toxic, Lisa replied. A single jellyfish carries enough venom to kill 60 adult humans. The venom attacks the heart, nervous system, and skin cells simultaneously. Most victims go into cardiac arrest within minutes. And humans swim in waters where these creatures live? Admiral Krista asked. Millions of humans live along the coasts where box jellyfish are found, Lisa said. We've developed protective clothing, warning systems, and treatment protocols. We've also created vinegar stations along popular beaches. Vinegar stations? Counselor Mordak asked. Vinegar neutralizes the nematocysts, Lisa explained. If someone is stung by a box jellyfish, the first treatment is to pour vinegar on the affected area to prevent any remaining nematocy. The council chamber had been silent for several minutes. Jake could see that the alien representatives were processing everything they had learned about Earth's dangerous creatures. The expressions on their faces, or the alien equivalents of expressions, had changed dramatically from the beginning of the session. Counselor Vextar was the first to speak. The massive reptilian being leaned back in his chair, and his yellow eyes seemed to view Jake with a new kind of respect. "Captain Morrison," he said slowly, "when I first asked about your planet's apex predator, I expected you to describe something large and physically impressive." "Most people do," Jake replied. "We've learned that the most dangerous things aren't always the most obvious ones." "Indeed," Vextar continued, "you have described creatures that are small, often beautiful, and seemingly harmless. Yet they possess the ability to kill dozens or even hundreds of beings with minimal effort. This is unsettling." Admiral Krista shifted in her hover chair, her forearms moving in what Jake had learned was a gesture of contemplation. "Captain Morrison, Doctor Carter, I must ask, how do human children survive to adulthood on such a world?" Lisa stepped forward. "Very carefully, and with a lot of education. Human children learn about dangerous creatures from the time they can walk. We teach them which animals to avoid, what to do if they encounter something dangerous, and how to get help quickly." "But surely some children are still harmed," Counselor Zareth said, her crystalline form catching the light as she spoke. "Some are," Lisa admitted, "but not many. Human children are remarkably adaptable. They learn to recognize danger signs, to be cautious around unfamiliar creatures, and to respect the natural world without being paralyzed by fear. Your species has turned survival education into a childhood requirement," Counselor Hexara observed. "We have," Jake confirmed. "Every human child learns basic first aid, knows how to identify common dangerous animals, and understands emergency procedures. It's as fundamental as learning to read or write." Counselor Mordyke leaned forward, his massive frame making the chair creak. "This explains much about human behavior that has puzzled us. Your species approaches new situations with extreme caution, yet you adapt quickly to changing circumstances. When you grow up knowing that a beautiful creature the size of your thumb can kill you, you learn to be careful," Jake said. "But you also learn that being careful doesn't mean being paralyzed. You assess risks, take appropriate precautions, and then move forward." "And you've applied this approach to space travel," Admiral Krista said. It wasn't a question. "Of course," Lisa replied. "Every human who travels to other worlds undergoes extensive training in alien biology, environmental hazards, and emergency procedures. We assume every new environment is dangerous until proven otherwise. Yet you still explore," Counselor Vextar said. "Despite the risks." "Especially because of the risks," Jake corrected. "Humans are curious by nature. We want to understand new environments, new creatures, new challenges. But we do it systematically, with careful preparation and multiple safety measures." The alien representatives exchanged glances. Jake could see that they were beginning to understand something fundamental about human nature. "Your species has thrived on a world that should have killed you," Counselor Zareth said. "This explains your rapid technological development." "How?" "So?" Jake asked. "Necessity?" Admiral Krista said. "When your environment is constantly trying to kill you, you develop better tools, better medicine, better ways to survive. Your species has been in a technological arms race with your own planet for millennia." Lisa nodded. "That's actually a very accurate way to put it. We've had to become very good at solving problems quickly, because the consequences of failure are often death. And now you're applying those same problem-solving skills to space travel, diplomacy, and galactic politics." Counselor Hexara buzzed. "Your species sees every new challenge as another survival problem to be solved." "Exactly," Jake said. We don't see alien contact as inherently dangerous or beneficial. We see it as a new environment to understand and adapt to. Counselor Vekmer, who had been quiet for most of the discussion, suddenly spoke up. This conversation has been very enlightening. I now understand why human traders are so successful in our markets. What do you mean? Jake asked. Human traders approach every transaction as if it might be their last, Vekmer explained. They prepare extensively, they have multiple contingency plans, and are always ready to adapt to changing conditions. We assumed this was natural caution, but now I understand it's survival training. Every human negotiation is approached like a potential encounter with a dangerous creature, Counselor Mordak said. Careful assessment, appropriate precautions, and ready adaptation. And yet you're not paralyzed by fear, Counselor Vextar observed. You engage with new situations despite the risks. Because we've learned that the biggest risk is not adapting, Lisa said. On Earth, species that can't adapt to changing conditions go extinct. We've internalized this lesson. Admiral Christo was quiet for a moment and spoke. I must revise my assessment of human military capabilities. A species that can coexist with creatures that kill through chemistry, that has developed systematic approaches to survival, and that treats every new environment as a potential threat, such a species would be very difficult to defeat in combat. We're not naturally aggressive, Jake said carefully, but we are very hard to kill, and very good at finding weaknesses in apparently superior opponents, Counselor Vextar added. Your species looks for chemical vulnerabilities, environmental factors, and systemic weaknesses rather than relying on brute force. It's what we've had to do to survive, Lisa said. When you're facing a creature that can kill you in minutes, you can't win through strength alone. You have to be smarter, faster, and more adaptable. Your species has weaponized adaptability, Counselor Hexara said. This is a formidable trait. The chamber fell silent again. Jake could see that the alien representatives were reassessing everything they thought they knew about humanity. What had started as a simple question about apex predators had become a revelation about human nature and capabilities. Finally, Counselor Zareth spoke. Captain Morrison, Dr. Carter, I believe we owe you an apology. When humans first joined the galactic community, many of us assumed you were a weak species that had somehow achieved space travel through luck or accident. We now understand that. Your species has been training for galactic contact for your entire evolutionary history, Admiral Krista said. Every challenge you've faced on Earth has prepared you for the complexities of interspecies relations. Counselor Mordock nodded his massive head. A species that can develop antivenom for the most deadly creatures on their planet, that can turn children's education into survival training, that can coexist with beauty that kills. Such a species will adapt to galactic society very quickly. And very successfully, Counselor Vextar added. I withdraw my earlier assessment that humans lack natural defenses. Your defenses are not physical. They are intellectual, social, and systematic. Jake felt a wave of pride wash over him. Thank you, Counselor Vextar. That means a great deal coming from a representative of the Karis. Your species has earned respect today, Vextar replied. When word of this discussion spreads through the galactic community, I believe many species will want to establish stronger relationships with Earth, particularly in the areas of medicine and toxicology. Counselor Hexara buzzed. Your expertise in neutralizing deadly compounds could be invaluable to other species. Lisa stepped forward. We'd be happy to share our knowledge. In fact, we've already begun studying the biochemistry of several alien species. We're hoping to develop medical treatments that could benefit the entire galactic community. You're studying alien biochemistry to help other species? Counselor Zareth asked, surprise evident in her crystalline voice. Of course, Lisa said. It's what we do. We see a problem, we study it, we develop a solution. The fact that the problem affects aliens instead of humans doesn't change our approach. Your species applies survival strategies to helping others. Survive, Admiral Krista observed. This is ... unexpected. Not really, Jake said. On Earth, we learned that cooperation often improves survival odds. If we can help other species solve their medical problems, they'll be more likely to help us solve ours. Mutual survival benefit, Counselor Mordock said. Your species has turned evolution into diplomacy. We've turned everything into survival. Strategy, Lisa corrected. Art, music, literature, science, politics, trade. Humans approach every activity as if survival depends on doing it well. Because on Earth, survival often did depend on doing things well, Jake added. We couldn't afford to be casual about anything that might affect our chances of staying alive. The alien representatives sat in contemplative silence. Finally, Counselor Vextar spoke again. Captain Norrison, I have one final question. Given what we now know about Earth's dangerous creatures, how many humans have actually died from encounters with venomous or poisonous animals? Jake looked at Lisa, who activated her datapad one more time. In the last century, with modern medicine and safety education, deaths from venomous creatures average about 1,000 per year globally. 1,000 deaths per.